The Sahara Desert does not negotiate. If you are lost in its heart without water, your life expectancy is measured in hours. Your organs slowly cook, your blood thickens like sludge, and your mind surrenders to hallucinations. In 1994, an elite Italian endurance runner named Mauro Prosperi stepped into this exact hellscape to compete in the infamous Marathon des Sables, a brutal 150-mile ultramarathon. But on day 4, a catastrophic 8-hour sandstorm swallowed the track. When the dust finally settled, Mauro was completely alone. He was hundreds of miles off course, surrounded by nothing but towering dunes, with only half a bottle of water left. What followed is one of the most psychologically terrifying survival stories ever recorded. To stay alive, he would be forced to drink his own urine, hunt bats in an abandoned shrine, and make a decision so dark it should have ended his life. This is the story of how Mauro Prosperi looked into the eyes of the desert and forced it to blink. Mauro was an ex-Olympic pentathlete and a trained police officer. He wasn't a novice, he was a machine built for stamina. But human physiology has hard, unyielding limits. When the sandstorm struck, the wind was so violent it whipped the sand like shards of glass against his skin. Visibility dropped to zero. Mauro found a small dune, wrapped his scarf around his face, and waited. For 8 suffocating hours, he breathed through the fabric as the storm buried him alive. When the wind died down, the landscape had completely transformed. The landmarks were gone. He checked his compass, but the atmospheric disturbance had rendered the needle useless. He was walking blind in the hottest place on Earth. By day 3 of being lost, his water was entirely gone. His throat was so swollen he could no longer swallow. Desperate, Mauro began drinking his own urine out of his water bottle to keep his kidneys from shutting down. Then, a miracle appeared on the horizon. A marabout, the ancient, abandoned mud shrine of a Muslim holy man. Inside, it offered a brief respite from the lethal 115-degree heat. But there was no water. Looking up into the shadows of the roof, Mauro noticed small movements. Bats, clinging to the mud ceiling. Driven by pure survival instinct, he caught them, tore off their heads, and drank their blood raw to extract any form of moisture. He ate their meat raw just to keep his caloric intake alive. But as the days bled together, the bats ran out. A rescue helicopter flew directly overhead, but in his weakened state, his signal flare was too small to be seen. It flew away. Stranded, starving, and convinced he was facing a slow, excruciating death by dehydration, Mauro made a devastating choice. He decided to take his own life. He slit his wrists with his pocket knife, lay down in the shrine, and closed his eyes. He chose to die on his own terms. But the desert refused to take him. Because Mauro was so profoundly dehydrated, his blood had thickened to a sludge-like consistency. It clotted almost instantly inside the wounds. When he woke up hours later, staring at the mud ceiling, he realized something incredible. He was still alive. And in that moment, his psychological despair turned into absolute defiance. If death didn't want him, he was going to fight for his life. Mauro left the shrine. Guided by a basic survival rule to follow the early morning clouds, he began a grueling crawl across the rocky plains. He found small succulents, squeezing the bitter moisture from the leaves. He caught beetles and lizards, chewing them for precious fluids. For 9 days, he walked over 180 miles across the border into Algeria, completely unrecognizable, having lost over 30 pounds of body weight. When a nomadic Tuareg family finally spotted the ghostly figure crawling out of the dunes, they couldn't believe he was human. His skin was blackened by sunburn, his lips split open, and his eyes completely bloodshot. He had cheated death at its absolute apex. But the most profound twist in Mauro Prosperi's legacy isn't just that he survived, it's what he did after. Most people would look at the Sahara and never return. But Mauro felt an unbreakable spiritual connection to the place that tried to claim him. Years later, he went back to Morocco and successfully completed the Marathon des Sables. Survival isn't just about keeping your heart beating. It's about refusing to let the environment break your mind, even when your own body gives up on you. This is survive or serve. If Mauro's resilience shook you, drop a comment below and hit that subscribe button. Stay unshakable.